Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, you know the old saying in football, if you have two players at a position, it means you don't have any. When you're talking about the next Saints left guard, what does it mean when you really don't have any? Or maybe you have three. Who knows? That'll be a fun conversation. And it appears as if the NCAA karma gods are telling me, you want to make fun of Will Wade, buddy? Then here's what we have for your bracket. Kaboom, baby. And only the Pelicans can follow a 46-point home loss with a win on the road at Minnesota. I think that just means you should bet against them tonight when they play Minnesota again on the road. That's up to you. Rod Walker of the Times-Picayune and the Advocate is here with me for a little bit this morning to talk about all these things. And we have a new segment, a brand new segment for you at the end of the show. I can't wait. It has to do with robots and betting or something like that. I can't stand the waiting. Let's start the show.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Have your brackets busted yet? Kaboom, I told you. The Will Wade, all my friends out there, it's like everybody's rooting for Will Wade. It's like he's the LSU coach all over again. Do people forget that easily? Am I the only one? Let me know in the chat. Am I the only one who feels this way? Like, I hope he loses. I really do. Going to NC State. Good for you. I'll ask Rod Walker what he thinks coming up. Although, Rod's not going to be on all that long because his Mississippi State Bulldogs are playing this morning, so we're not going to keep him. And he's coming on early. Our guest is going to be on at 11:10 instead of 11:20 or 11:30. That's coming up. You know what won't be busted this morning? Forget about the bracket. You know what won't be busted? Dattitude, episode number 352, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, March the 21st, 2025. I am your host, Jim Derry, 34 and a half glorious years on the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of the ever-growing, it's growing every day, ever-growing. What does that even mean? You're a part of the growing Dattitude family. Thank you. You can be a part of the show, as you know, by typing in your comment, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and you can be a part of the show because you know I talk to you, you talk to me. We show the comments, even if I deem them to be kind of redonkulous, I still show them most of the time. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page so you can be a part of that Dattitude family. And you can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. Okay. What is on the show today? Like I said, Rod Walker is coming on in about, 7 minutes or so. We're going to have I'm going to see if it's possible to have a show. It's not going to be an hour. Okay. I'm not dumb. It's going to be a little longer than an hour, but let's see if we can do an hour and 15-minute show today. You think it's possible on a Friday? I don't, but we'll see. We're going to try. We're actually going to try. All right. We're going to talk because we got a lot of stuff to talk about this morning. It's a little bit of everything, as you see. The lead topic this morning is Saints. It won't be the first thing we talk about. Who's playing left guard? I read a story about it on our NOLA.com/Saints page. I think Matt Parrish wrote that one. Luke wrote another story that was similar, but somebody was talking about Will Clapp. The other one was talking about what's happening in the left guard. And right now, really, it's out of Will Clapp, Landon Young. That's a possibility. We could draft someone, and this wasn't in the story, but move Penning to left guard. Nick Saldivari, who played some there last year, was it 4th or 5th round draft pick from a couple years ago. Remember when I said in the open, if you'd have more than one, then do you have any? I don't know. Maybe they don't have any. Maybe they have 3. I don't know. We'll talk about that. That's our lead topic. We are going to touch on the Pelicans because I wanted to bring them up because it is not only what Rod has been following most as of late, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring it up, but we haven't talked about the Pels since David Grubb was on. That was almost a month ago. So we will talk about them. And again, I didn't have time to look this up. And how many teams follow up 46-point losses at home with a win on the road against the team that's going to be in the playoffs? That's insane. Doesn't make any sense. Shows you the dysfunction with this basketball team. We're going to talk about that. Will Wade in the NCAA tournament. How about the LSU women playing tomorrow night? If you want to watch those LSU women, I said the other day, I think I said that they were coming on at 10:15. It's actually 9:15. It's 10:15 Eastern time. So 9:15 tomorrow night. Will Floje and Anissa Morrow play? It looks like yes, but we don't know for sure. That will be among the topics this morning. And again, I told you about our new segment debuting today. We're going to have a lot of fun with this segment. I don't want to let too much of the cat out of the bag, but let's just say it has something to do with AI. Okay. And I think it's going to be a fun/funny, whatever you want to call it, segment. It's usually going to involve Gabe, but Gabe is not here this morning. Gabe is having fun with some of his friends at a casino in Lake Charles. Good for him. And we're going to get to your comments in just a minute before Rod comes on again at about 11:10, about 4 or 5 minutes from now. One of the most boring day ones in NCAA tournament I can remember. I mean, sure, McNeese won, big whoop. That wasn't even really that fun of a game. Last night was probably the best part of the day. I mean, really, it was boring. Boring. I mean, I'm expecting some big upsets. Maybe we'll have some today because we didn't get a whole lot yesterday. I don't know. We'll talk about that with Rod as well. Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that is you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemel. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you will be well-informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. Oh, and their bracket never gets busted. So to find out more on how they do it, stick around until after Rod Walker chats with us. Until then, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Okay, we got a small chat this morning. What are y'all doing? Friday mornings? Are people actually working this morning? I'm really a little upset. There's only like 8 comments in it. What are y'all doing this morning? A-Town, good Friday morning. Jim and Gabe? Nope, Gabe is off with his friends this morning. He's having fun at a casino. He didn't want to, Gabe's going to be on next Monday, and he's going to be part of this final segment because it's going to be a regular segment. We're going to do it every show from here on out, or at least I plan to. Brian S. Steve, good morning, Who Dat Nation. Nola Man, sad day, not making your first season ticket payment and letting them go after 23 years. We talked about this, earlier in the week or a couple weeks ago? You don't have to do it. You can keep them. You don't have to give them up. Christian, let's go St. Mary's. Okay. I don't know who St. Mary's plays. I don't have the bracket in front of me. Actually, I do because I got the bracket challenge in front of me. We'll talk about it in a minute. Rocky Oob, what is up? Mallymal. The Pels need to clean house. I want to give Willie one more year. I know might not be a popular opinion. I want to give Willie one more year. I'm going to ask Rod what he thinks in a minute. Bill Mariande, good morning. Gary, good morning to you. Good morning to PBM. And lastly, before we get to Rod is in the green room. Be here in just a minute. What will the Saints offer for the number 1 pick? Hopefully nothing. Don't trade up. You crazy? You don't want to trade up. No trading up. You want to trade down. That's it. All right, we're going to start the show. We're going to spend probably about 60% Saints today. We're going to lead off with the Pelicans. And I'm bringing my friend Rod Walker in. Rod, I know your Mississippi State Bulldogs are playing in a little bit, so we don't want to keep you too long this morning. But thank you for spending time on this Friday morning and joining us.
Oh, man, no problem.
All right. I want to lead off with the Pelicans because I know that's probably what you've been looking at most as of late. Somebody's got to watch them. And here at Times-Picayune has been Rod Walker. The first question is, how do you follow a 46-point home loss with a win at the Timberwolves? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's incredible, man. I mean, this is a team that I think I may have thought they had quit after that Timberwolves. I mean, after the loss to the Pistons, a 46-point loss, and for them to go on the road without Trey Murphy, first game without Trey, obviously, against a Timberwolves team that's playing for something. I mean, they're like, they got a shot.
Exactly.
They got a shot to be one of those top 6 teams and avoid the play-in tournament. And for them to go up there and beat them was really impressive. I thought Zion was incredible, which is the same words that Anthony Edwards used to describe him. But Bruce Brown had a good game. All those guys really just stepped up and played really well. And I'll be interested to see if that carries over to tonight. They play them again tonight, and they're going to be.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does that mean? Look, and I kind of joked about it, but I'm only half joking. I mean, I'm sure you woke up the T-Wolves. Does that mean you just go and you just bet them? You bet the T-Wolves tonight? I don't know what the spread is. I'm guessing it's about 8. I'll look it up while we're talking.
I think it's more than that. I looked at it last night, and I was surprised at how much it was. But I think the people in Vegas must think
it is 15.
Yeah,
my word!
Yeah, I knew it was a lot last night when I looked at it. So,
wow.
Yeah, that tells you what they think. And but the Pelicans are at as full strength as they can be. I mean, Zion's playing tonight, so I think when you have a guy like him, I mean, you got a chance. I mean, that's kind of the thing that makes him so special.
That actually seems like value in the Pelicans.
Yeah,
I might actually put a couple of bucks on it.
It does.
I mean, that sounds stupid to bet on the Pelicans.
Yeah.
By the way, I was with some friends the other night, and someone asked me, and I went and did the math, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know the ballpark. Someone asked me, what if you just blind bet against the Pelicans with the spread this year? Like, how much money would you have made? And it's somewhere around. It was the record was somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 and 30. It wasn't exactly that. That's what you would have had, like 40 wins and 30 losses. So I know that's not exactly right because that's not what their record is right now. But it's somewhere in that ballpark. It was like 10 more wins than losses against the spread. That's almost unheard of.
Yeah, that tells you what kind of season this has been for that team.
Been crazy. What do you expect? Look, do you expect a lot of offseason changes? I mean, what do you expect with Willie? Look, I'm on the bandwagon of right now. I'd like to see him get one more year. This year was kind of a throwaway year. I said earlier, I know that coaches deserve a lot of blame for different things, but I just think things snowballed this year. I'd like to give him one more year and see what happens. More because of the fact that he's young, and let's see what he learned from this year.
Yeah, I think, and I remember I did a story on this earlier in the season, and I talked to some different coaches. I talked to, I think Doc Rivers and Ty Lue and some of those guys, and their thoughts about Willie. And I mean, this team won 49 games last year, second most in history. You don't just go from a coach who can coach to all of a sudden not being able. I mean, it just doesn't happen. He had a lot of bad luck this year, and I know people in New Orleans, especially Saints and Pelicans, they get tired of hearing the injury excuse. But I mean, this team was hit from the very beginning of the season. DeJounte broke his hand in the first game. Trey Murphy was hurt to start the season, and then I mean, obviously we know what happened during the season when DeJounte ended up tearing his Achilles, Herb pops his shoulder out, and Trey Murphy does the same thing the other night. I mean, they've had like a bunch of bad luck, and then I hadn't even mentioned Zion, who's only played 27, 28. I can't remember how many games, but hadn't played a lot of games. So if I know people don't want to hear this, but if this team is healthy, I think they have a chance to be really, really good. And I mean, obviously it all starts with Zion. I mean, they've managed to work his load this year where he's not playing back-to-backs and he's in shape. And you got to knock on wood, man, and just hope and hope.
Man, you can't. Yeah, but at some point, look, I hate this all not playing. I mean, the other day, I think it was last Sunday, I'm going off somewhere and I get an alert. Zion not playing, quote unquote, personal reasons. I mean, what the hell are we doing? I mean, this is basketball. You get paid to play basketball. Play basketball.
Now I did, and I didn't get like what the reasons were, but I do think he was actually dealing with something personal, like.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was, but somebody did tell me that it was like a legit, reason. But
all right, well, I'll give them that one, but it's not just that.
No, I understand the frustrations. I mean, it's been a very frustrating season, and they're not playing the back-to-backs, which is not on Zion. That's on the team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it was up to Zion, he would be playing, but I think the team is, especially in a season like this, they're making the right decision, not playing them as much as they could.
Well, they're only 14 games out of the play-in, Rod. You never know.
Now they're officially eliminated, though.
They are officially eliminated. All right, they are 19-51. So when I said they were, that would be right then. That's 70 games. So 40-30. I believe that is the record. If you just blindly bet against the Pelicans with the spread, you would be, I wouldn't call you a rich person, depending on how much money you bet, but you would definitely be well ahead if you just blindly bet against the Pelicans this year. Although I will say again, 15-point dogs tonight at Minnesota. I actually think you're getting value in the Pelicans. I can't believe I'm saying that here on the show. All right.
I want to ask him about Willie Green. I mean, I did sort of, endorse him and say, hey, let's bring him back one more year. But I mean, I think some of the blowout losses are concerning.
Yes.
I mean, 2 40-point losses.
Yeah, lost to the Rockets a few weeks ago by 40 something or whatever.
Yeah, I think that actually might have been like 39. I think
it was close.
Losses were the Mavericks and the Pistons, but the Rockets loss was like really close to being another 40-point loss because I was actually keeping up with it during the game as I was covering the game. But about 3 or 4 30-point losses and a bunch of 20-point losses. But
That's
again, but they haven't been.
I just think, look, get a whole season, and we keep saying ifs. And somebody made fun of me. I don't remember. Someone either emailed me or made a comment on one of the recent shows the last couple of days of. Every time you say something good about Derek Carr, you always have to say if this and if that. And we say if, but it's true though. I mean, if DeJounte Murray could come back next year and be healthy, and Zion he played as many games as he played last year, and things don't just go south from the start. I know that's a lot of ifs, but I just have hopes that this thing. I saw a story the other day. The Pelicans, I think it was ESPN. Pelicans could be back in the play-in next year. I'm like, back in the play-in, I think they legitimately could be a playoff team, if they can get back to the form of last year. And I think DeJounte Murray will make that big of a difference. Trey being gone doesn't help either. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. But I do understand if you're a season ticket holder, I can understand why you would not want to spend your money and not and take a chance on not seeing these players play and guys getting hurt. Like it would be frustrating if I was spending money out of my own pocket. So I get it. I understand both sides of it. No doubt about it. All right, let's I'm trying to squeeze a bunch of stuff into a little bit of time, and I want to move on to the NCAA tournament because we're going to wrap up our segment here on the Saints. And before we get to this, how's your bracket looking, by the way? You know what? A few years ago, I just stopped filling out I don't do the entire bracket. I just kind of just look at it and say, okay, I think this is gonna be the Final Four, but I don't do all the games because it just never works out. So I do have Florida, and I'm trying to look at my bracket to see. I had Florida, Duke. Okay. You and about half the other country. Yeah, I think those teams are a little, just kind of head and shoulders above everybody else. I think Houston's really good. I don't know who I had come out of the South. Let me look. South is the bracket with Auburn in it, right? Yeah. Auburn and Michigan State. That's the one I was a little, I kind of struggled with that one. Nobody really just jumped out at me. Maybe Michigan State just because of their, their history. I don't like the way Auburn played yesterday. I will say that. They played better towards the end, but they certainly didn't look very good in the first half. And Gabe on Wednesday was talking about how their trends. Bruce Pearl is just not very good in March. So we'll see if they can get it together. All right, I want to talk about Will Wade because I have been making fun of Will Wade on this show because I am not I know I'm in the minority, and I'd like to get the opinion of not only our columnist here, but someone that is not an LSU guy at all. You're a Mississippi State guy, someone from the outside looking in. Your thoughts on Will Wade, and say it however you want to say it. I just think, look, as someone who went to LSU, I don't forgive him because I think that part of the downfall of this basketball program, I understand Matt McMahon is, you can't go from 9-9 in the SEC to what they did this year and 3-14 or whatever the hell they were, 3-15 or whatever the record was. That being said, though, I thought that Will Wade's improprieties put this team in a hole that they have struggled to get out of, and now everyone loves him and think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread because he's got McNeese playing great.
I think he's an excellent basketball coach. I mean, he's coached 11 years, if you count the years at Chattanooga, VCU, and LSU and McNeese. Never had a losing season, 700 win percentage.
That's impressive.
It's impressive, yeah. He's a guy that if he was still at LSU, I mean, everybody talk about how good the SEC was this year. LSU would be right in the mix with the Auburns and the Floridas, and I mean that's just how good of a coach and recruiter he is. He's going to do great at NC State. So I can understand LSU fans feeling like, man, we let a really good one get away. But I mean, what he did at the time was really bad. I mean, he could do that today and be fine.
He'd be a hero. Right. Walt says, "Go McNeese," and I have a lot of people. In my feed, on my Facebook feed or my X feed or whatever, all saying the same thing. I got a text group with my old boss Ron Thibodeau, who he's an LSU men's basketball ticket holder, and he's go McNeese. And so people are easy to forgive and forget. Maybe it's just me that's not. I don't know, but I will say this: they looked pretty darn good yesterday. I know they only ended up winning by 2 points, but that was really a butt whooping for about 38 minutes.
Yeah,
and they got a chance to beat Purdue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was really. I hadn't watched them this year. I mean, I maybe seen like highlights and stuff, but they were really impressive yesterday. The manager was impressive. He's all over TV. It was Ara. So that's a team that, I mean, if you're in Louisiana, I mean, you obviously want to see them do well. I mean, I think even if you didn't like Will Wade, I think you still kind of want to see the Louisiana school, especially small Louisiana.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold it against McNeese. I do hope McNeese does well. So you can't hold it against. And you and I both, and I know they don't play in the Burton Coliseum anymore, but I was there the other day, last week, and I went up there and spent Saturday watching some state championship basketball games. But going out to Lake Charles, McNeese is a big deal to Southwest Louisiana, yeah. And I'm glad they don't play in the Burton Coliseum anymore. Boy, that place is just crazy.
I was actually surprised how well they played yesterday, because I thought with the news kind of leaking out that he was taking I thought they were going to just come out and be like, right, you know what, we get this, and they did the total opposite of that. Yeah, it was really impressive. So if they continue to play like that, I mean, I think they can. This is one of those teams that can make the Sweet 16.
I'm gonna say this too, and I don't know if the live odds, and we talk about betting on the show as well, but and I know you get into certain things, but I will say this. So I was looking yesterday. Maybe I'm gonna get a value on Clemson. I wanted to live bet Clemson. It was a 12-point game, and it was still basically an even money game, and I didn't jump on McNeese, and I don't know why. I'm like, it's a 12-point game because I wasn't thinking right, I guess. Yeah. And I ended up betting on Clemson later on when it was like a 16-point game, like a dummy, getting 3.5 to 1 because I thought I was getting value. Turns out I wasn't getting value; I was just getting stupid. So anyway, we'll see what McNeese could do. So who do the Bulldogs play this morning?
We're playing Baylor at 7-7 right now. I'm not very optimistic about this game because my coworkers, Jeff Duncan, Louisville lost to Creighton, and Zach Ewan, Missouri lost to Drake. So
that's right.
And the other two Saints writers, Luke's an LSU guy, Matt's a DePaul guy. They weren't even in the tournament, so I figure I might get my exit today as well, since everybody.
Maybe you'll be the only one, and you can brag about it. Kyle Sherman, welcome to the show. We don't care if you're late. We're just glad you're here. Okay, let's move on to the Saints. I'm gonna let you go soon so you can go watch your Bulldogs. And look. By the way, real quick, what do you think about, and I didn't ask you this, but LSU women, we don't know if Floje and Anissa Morrow are going to play yet, but San Diego State, they start off as a 3 seed. The hype around LSU again, if Floje and Anissa Morrow can play, I think, look, they're in a bracket where I think they can make some noise.
Yeah, I actually I keep up with women probably about as much as I do the men now. Like, yeah. That wasn't the case years ago, but I mean, they've actually.
It's more interesting now, actually.
Yeah. You know a lot of the players because they stick around longer in college.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know if I have LSU like getting to the Final Four though. I think somebody.
Yeah, they got to play. They'd have to play UCLA, and UCLA may silently be. And I'm not discounting South Carolina, UConn, or whatever, but they might silently be the best team in the tournament that no one's really talking about a whole lot. So
yeah, LSU, that depth concerns me. Outside of that
for sure.
And I mean, it's kind of you saw it come back to bite them in a lot of games this season.
We'll see what happens. They play tomorrow, 9:15 on ESPN. San Diego State in their first round game. If they win that, they play on Monday night, I believe. All right, let's talk about the Saints a little bit and just your overall thoughts about what they've done so far in free agency. A lot of people talk about kicking the can, but I mean, there's no question that Mickey Loomis's MO is we want to win now. It's no different than it's been for the last 20 years, basically. This is the way he does things, and anybody who thought that this team was just going to roll over and play dead is wrong, because they're playing to win right now, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of talked about it. He thinks, the injuries. He thinks if this team is healthy, he thinks they can compete in the NFC South. And I don't think that's a bad assessment. I mean, I think if they're healthy, they can be competitive. I mean, this is a division that's not, it's decent, but it's not great. I think all the teams in the division have gotten better, though. I think Carolina's better. I think Atlanta's better. I think Tampa Bay's obviously been, very consistent.
Yes.
These past few years, surprisingly consistent. When you look at what the Saints have done, I don't know if they've done anything that, if you're a fan, especially a pessimistic fan that's not been played, they haven't done anything to make you say, oh, this is the year, at all. I think Justin Reed's signing was solid.
Right.
I think bringing Chase Young back I think Chase Young, I think that was a good move. But to me, they haven't added any pieces to make you think everything's going to be great. But again, if you think they're going to be healthy, then maybe they are going to be okay.
It kind of puts you in a situation where you look and say, okay, they haven't changed that much. But if you go back to the beginning of last year and you put, again, I'm not going to use, I need to stop just bashing Dennis Allen, because that's kind of what I've been doing. But if you talk about where this team was, okay, you say we're just going to run it back with the same guys. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I know they went 5-12, but you think about everything that went wrong. Put yourself in last year, at the beginning of last year, those first two games, they showed what they can do. If you got a coach like Kellen Moore in there now, and you run it back with what you had, I mean, again, people don't like when I use if. I don't care if you don't like it or not. It is what it is. If this offensive line can get just a little bit better and keep Derek Carr healthy and Alvin Kamara healthy and the wide receivers healthy, which that's not that big of an if, really, in the grand scheme of things. There's no reason to think this team can't compete for a division championship.
No, I agree. And, you look back at last season, start off 2-0, obviously, in that week 3, first drive of the Eagles game, Eric McCoy goes down. And that's when things just kind of, started snowballing. And Dennis Allen wasn't the kind of coach that could get it back on track once it started derailing. And so, I mean, there's a chance this team could be okay to say. It's going to all depend on Carr staying healthy. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. The Saints fans don't want to hear it, but they're better with Carr than they are without him. I mean, with what they have on the roster right now. I mean, if they go out and
zero question.
If they go out and find another quarterback, I mean, that's a different story. But dealing with what they have on the roster right now, they're better with him. And you just got to hope he plays well. And I know a lot of people have been really hard on Carr, and I get it. They want him to be more vocal and be more seen and, be out more. But I don't know if there's anything Carr could come in here and say today.
Nothing.
Nothing. Like, he can't win the fans over.
No,
so,
and if he would have been like in the public eye, people, what people would have been saying on social media, get out of here, man. Go back to California. We don't want to see you around here. Come back in August or whatever it is. I mean, that's what they'd be saying. So you can't win for losing this dude.
Right. So all he can do is come to New Orleans, the training camp.
Correct.
Have a good season. That's the only thing that's going to – and I don't know if it's going to win fans over, but at least it'll quiet the fans, which is, all he can really do at this point. So, I don't think that Carr – he can't – there's nothing he can do or say.
He's not going to please the haters, which is a vast majority of Saints fans right now. Jim Derry along with Rod Walker on the Dattitude podcast this Friday morning, presented by Evangeline Securities. When Rod goes off, we're going to probably spend part of this morning talking about whether the Saints should – there's a lot of talk right now, mostly churned up by ESPN because they don't really have anything else to talk about. Should or will the Saints draft the quarterback in the first round or two? Let's talk about Jackson Dart being potentially drafted. We're going to spend a lot of time with the comments when Rod leaves us in a little bit, but just your opinion. I mean, do you think the same way that I do? I think there's 0.0% chance they draft a quarterback in the first round. And I think it's close to 0.0 that they draft one in the first 2 rounds. They don't sign Derek Carr to go and draft a quarterback early in this draft. I'm not saying they won't draft one at all, but I don't think they will at all. But you don't spend one in the first round. I think it's more likely you do it in 2026 if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 0% chance, though. I think it's a little higher.
I know you and Zach don't like 0.0.
Yeah.
He gets on me whenever I say that.
We saw what the Falcons did last year. They signed Kirk Cousins and then, turn around and trade.
Yeah, that's true. Michael Penix, that's right.
Yeah, so I think if there's a guy they really like, and I know, I guess Kuiper or somebody put Jackson Dart out there. I was actually a big I actually like Jackson Dart a lot. Like even just watching him last year.
Mississippi State guy likes Jackson Dart.
I think he's really good, man. Like,
That's not allowed, is it?
I know it. I shouldn't say it publicly, but I'm saying it. I think he's really good, and I think if Kellen Moore has a guy that he really likes, I can see them going forward and saying, you know what, this is because at some point you got to get ready for the future, and if you think your guys, without waiting next year. Yeah,
it's just more loaded. It's more loaded with quarterback. You talked about Michael Penix, and the difference between Michael Penix might be the first pick of the draft this year. That's how different this draft is compared to last year. I mean, yeah, it was a shock that he went to the Falcons, especially after they signed Kirk Cousins. But I mean, Michael Penix is just that damn good. He's going to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, well, he is. I mean, because he's been starting. But now that'd be different if he were there when the Saints were drafting, and he, but he's not. They don't have a Michael Penix in this year's draft, except maybe Cam Ward, I guess, and he's going to be gone before then.
Well, I'm a Shedeur guy too, man. I know a lot of people are down on him, but I know. I watched more Colorado football the past 2 years than I watched them.
So did I. I mean,
I was watching like every game. Like I was up at 2 a.m. watching Colorado games because they were playing so late. I think talent-wise, I think he's going to be really good. But I understand like why some people don't like him. So it'll be interesting how he plays. I mean, he won't be there at 9, I don't think. So I think a Jackson Dart will probably be the kind of guy they have to get at 9. So
well, it's crazy because Jackson Dart, to me, I mean, if you look back just a couple months ago, he was projected to be like a 3rd-round pick, and has now worked his way all the way up. Is he really a top 10 pick now? We'll see. Yeah. I don't know.
As much as I like him, I say I like him this season. Like I didn't see him as a top 10 guy, but I think this guy has a chance to be a good NFL quarterback. But yeah, I don't know if you take him that high. But
all right, forget the 0.0 and all that. Just give me your opinion on what do you think. Not necessarily. You can tell me what you think the Saints should do and what do you think they will do in the first round of the draft.
I think this roster has so many holes on it. Like I don't think you could go. I mean, I don't think you draft a tight end after you paid Juwan all that money.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, I mean, they just lost Willie Gay. I mean, they're probably not gonna draft a linebacker that high, but this team has a lot of holes. They can draft a running back. I'd be like okay with it because we keep talking about Alvin Kamara's getting up there, and there's some good running backs out there. This team could use a receiver because Chris Olave and Rashid have they've been hurt pretty much every year they've been in the league. You can always use some help with the pass rush, but I think I guess you kind of feel like they may have addressed that. I'm not sure. Secondary lost both of their corners from last year that are not back this year. I mean, this team has a lot.
They need a safety.
Yeah, I mean, this team has a lot of holes in the roster, so I think it'll be one of those best player available drafts for them. I mean,
is that what you think they'll do? Do you think they'll go best player available? Or, I mean, one of the things that I look at, and look, I know I'm an offensive line guy, I've been saying, but here's the thing. I think they have obviously spent so much time so far the first 3 weeks of this period trying to shore up the defense. And I'm not saying they won't address the defense in the draft because I do think they will. But I think they're kind of signaling almost that we're going to go offense.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at, all the transactions they made this season, and I definitely, I agree with you on that. And I think with one of the quarterbacks, one of those positions that you kind of think they're not going to do, but I don't know. I just think they may have their eye on somebody in particular.
They might.
Yeah. So
I think it also depends on what does Kellen Moore think about Spencer Rattler. Because I mean, if he doesn't think I think if he thinks Spencer Rattler is a fine backup for now, and maybe we'll get a chance at some point. Because I mean, look, the likelihood of Derek Carr going 17 games without missing some time, it's at best 50-50. So, which means you're going to see your backup quarterback in there. You don't really have money to go spend money on a backup. So, if you think Spencer Rattler is good enough to be a backup and get playing time, then you stick with him. If you don't think he's good enough, if you don't see a future for him, then maybe you do draft someone. But I don't know. Just me as watching this team and following them in a professional capacity the past 3 to 4 years, I'm kind of getting sick of them just throwing darts against the dartboard and drafting quarterbacks. I kind of would just say just stick with Rattler as your backup for right now and then worry about it later.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to Ian Book, then Jake Hayner, and
yeah, exactly.
Those are kind of picks that they're guys that you're probably
swing and a miss.
Yeah, you're just taking a chance on them. And so when I go back to this quarterback thing, I think if Kellen Moore, if there's a guy that he really likes, he really thinks, okay, this is our guy. And if it's in this draft class, I think he will get him if he feels that strongly about a guy. I don't think they're going to do it just to do it. I think if they have a guy that they really like if Jackson Dart checks all the boxes that Kellen Moore wants in a quarterback, I think he goes for it now and says, okay, let's just get our guy. But if not, I mean, I do agree with you. They will probably get somebody on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm not sure who that guy is, what position it is. And again, I don't think they can go wrong with getting a big time receiver, a running back they think is really good, or again, quarterback.
I guess I should give it 0.2 and not 0.0.
There you go.
Last question, Rod. And our title slide of the day is who's playing left guard. Both Matthew and Luke have written about bringing Will Clapp back and what's going to happen at left guard in the recent past. And I know the Saints insiders have talked about it a little bit, but just your opinion on where the Saints are right now at left guard. You look at him, we got the 3 pictures up there. Will Clapp's he can play. He's very versatile. And that's another thing you got to like about the Landon Young re-signing as well. The fact that he can play almost anywhere. He's really a tackle, but he can play guard. And then we saw Nick Saldiveri get a chance to play some last year. Right now, do you think that it's going to be one of those 3 guys? If they draft a tackle, is there any possibility that maybe Penning moves to guard? Or what you're thinking about where they are at left guard right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one hole on this offensive line. And I call it a hole. I mean, you do have some guys that are serviceable that can play there. But I don't know if they're going to go in the draft and get that guy. I just think I think the fact they've signed these guys I think they're going to probably just try to plug one of those in there.
Am I?
Yeah. I think Trevor Penning, I thought he did better, when they moved him out to tackle last year. So I think they probably feel okay with that move.
He did way better than I expected him to. I got to say this. I mean, and I blasted him in the offseason. I'm like, this guy's not an NFL tackle at all. But I thought his pass blocking needed some help, but I thought his run blocking was actually pretty decent. So we'll see if that holds up. Final thoughts on the Saints before we go off. I know we'll probably talk to you again before the draft, but I mean it's draft right now.
Yeah, I mean they've tried to fill some small holes, I guess, in the roster, and the draft's going to be exciting. I mean, you look back, we always talk about that 2017 draft. They really need to hit like that again because they haven't really they've had some drafts where they got a player or 2 maybe that helped them out, but they just haven't nailed the draft like they need to draft if they're going to really make. Because to me, that's where you can kind of get out of this bind.
I agree.
You can, get some good players on these rookie deals and save a little money, but they just haven't hit on the drafts, and they need to.
Jury's out on the 24 draft. It could end up being a really good one. We'll see what happens there, and we'll talk to you soon, Rod. When it comes to the draft again, that's just coming up in 5 weeks from now. It's crazy that it's that close. What's Mississippi State doing before we go off the air?
They're up 16-14. I feel like I need to just stay on until they start losing, man. So.
we'll let you go watch it. Rod Walker, enjoyed it. And thanks for taking time out on the Friday morning when I know you got a lot of other stuff going on.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Talk to you soon. All right. Rod Walker, everybody. It's funny how sports writers, when they're following their own team, because look, we're human. Obviously, we have our own teams. We're just as much superstitious and jinxy as anybody else. In fact, maybe even more so. Because trust me, if I'm wearing a certain pair of socks or a shirt, I wore this shirt, There was one season when I was off covering when I was in the news side and I was covering the St. Tammany School Board and I could be a fan again. There was a very short window where I could just, I'm always a fan in the grand scheme of things, but when I could just be a fan and not worry about anything else, I wore the Saints the same. Now I washed it, but I wore the same Saints shirt for every single game one year. I think it was the year of, I think it was 2011. I think it was 2011. I wore the same. Now, obviously in the summer, it's a short sleeve shirt. I had to wear like long sleeves under it, or I had to wear something. I had to wear it. It didn't matter if it was 22 degrees outside. I had to wear it. Just wore a thermal underneath and just were cold. It is what it is. All right, we're going to get to comments in just a minute. We're going to talk more about the potential of drafting a quarterback in the first round, because I keep saying 0.0 and people don't like when I say that. So somebody got mad at me on X. There's no such thing as 0.0. I'm not talking about the literal zero. I'm talking about figuratively. Okay. In my world, 0.0 means it ain't happening. In the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's not 0.0 that we get hit by a meteor today. I mean, so it's not 0.0 that there's a sinkhole going to swallow up 250 cars on Canal Street later this afternoon. It's not 0.0, but it's not going to happen. So, I mean, you know what I mean when I say 0.0. Those of you who watch me on a regular basis, you know what I mean when I say 0.0. I have to spell it out for you. You don't have to be a numbnuts. You can be if you want to. We have plenty of them here. Again, time to, I'm going to call it Mono-E Friday the rest of the show. Again, coming up, we're going to finish this show in a little while, maybe in about 20, 30 minutes. We're going to finish this show with a new segment where AI meets gambling. Okay? There's a lot of things you can do with AI that I'm just starting to learn. Okay? It's really kind of scary in the grand scheme of things. It's like super scary. This whole AI crap is really bugging me, but I figure before the robots eat my brain, I might as well just have some fun with it. That's coming up. We told you earlier, we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it, you ask? Well, we're glad you're asked. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, none with their dedication and success, and none that fill out a perfect bracket like they do. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. They are fully licensed and ready to serve you, so get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It ain't the brackets. It ain't who's the next left guard for the New Orleans Saints. It ain't any of that. What's most important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, I know a lot of you are going to be moving on and watching the NCAA tournament this morning. So we are going to have a show that's going to last about an hour and 10. I don't remember the last time we had a show that was under an hour and a half. I'm going to go look it up, but we're going to have one today. I can tell you it's going to happen today. Apathy. Just win and it all goes away. I've been saying that. I know you and I don't agree on everything, but we can agree on that one. Just win and it all goes away. It's amazing how much I go back and think about the show we did after the Saints beat the Cowboys. And I said then, I wasn't really buying in, but you know what? By God, we're going to have fun that week. And we did. And we made fun of a Cowboys fan and we had the video on of him just crying at Rouse's or whatever it was. We had fun with that. You just win, it all goes away. Oh, boy. PBM, I think you're talking about when we're talking about Derek Carr, just so much for Southern hospitality with Derek Carr. I'm not sure what this means. $6+ million blew the pick of McNeese winning. What does that mean, Charles? Cooper flag is back on the court. Go Duke. Well. I don't know. I mean, I got Duke winning the bracket. Speaking of brackets, by the way, we ended up having 18 entries in our Dattitude, although I think some of them joined this morning. Now, you couldn't just make a bracket this morning and put it in there. Like, you couldn't just say, okay, I'm in and I'm got my picks and you watch what happens. So obviously these people did a bracket and they just entered them this morning. Because when I looked last night, it was like half of this. However, doesn't matter when you did it. You wanted to see if your bracket did well and then you entered it, and that's whatever, it doesn't matter. It's for bragging rights. Right now, the leader of the Dattitude bracket, there's a tie for first. They picked 14 out of 16 yesterday. And I got to put on my glasses for this one. Y'all excuse me. Right now, not that it really makes any sense. Tate Rensenbrink's picks. Tate Rensenbrink. Tate, if you're a member of the Dattitude family, we congratulate you for being up there and tied for first place after day one. And Big E, he's up there as well. 14 out of 16. And you got two people. You got 13 out of 16, right? 1, 2, 3. Got 12 out of 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people got 11. And then I was one of 3 who got 10 out of 16, right? Yeah, it wasn't a terrible day. Although I did have Kansas going into the Elite Eight. Some of my upsets that I had the right thinking process. I just didn't pick the right upset. Anyway, that's where we are. And then we got a couple. In fact, my friend Dom is below me there. So we ended up with 18 brackets. We'll see if any more kind of sneak in. Charles says Gonzaga beat Houston. That did not happen. That's not going to happen. Houston may win this tournament. If you're looking for a team, and I said this the other day, I ended up picking Duke. By the way, I don't know if I said this the other day or not. I ended up picking Duke. Let me put the while we talk about this, because I didn't know if we're gonna ended up picking Duke to win it all in my main bracket. However, I said this on Wednesday, and I feel the same way today. I am gonna get back to Saints. I saw people leaving the show. I'm gonna get back to Saints in just a minute. Calm down. I think that Houston is the best value, and I still think they're the best value. I know they won big yesterday, so their odds probably dropped a little bit, and it is what it is. Earl Russo, you haven't heard Numbnuts in forever. You're not watching the show if you haven't heard Numbnuts. Come on, man. Earl wants to know, what if Shedeur Sanders is sitting there at pick number 9? You're asking me? Well, of course you're asking me. I'm the only one here. No. Absolutely not. What are you going to do with Shedeur Sanders? I mean, you're going to let him sit the bench through next year? Or let him be Taysom Hill? I just don't. Look, I don't agree with Rod. I'm sorry. I don't think Shedeur Sanders. I don't think there's a quarterback in this draft. Okay? Not a single quarterback, except maybe Cam Ward. And to me, that's even a big if. This draft, it's not like last year when I thought there were probably 5 or maybe 6 guys in that draft who are NFL quarterbacks, who are guys going to be starting quarterbacks in the NFL. This year, I think there's 1 tops, and it's Cam Ward. Could Jackson Dart be an NFL quarterback? Maybe. I don't think so. I definitely don't think Shedeur Sanders is a quarterback. I just don't. Again, go ahead, prove me wrong. I'll. You know me. When I'm wrong, I tell you I'm wrong. But my answer to that is no, and I'll tell you, I mean, I've told you why I think what I think. I just don't think that this team, look at the title slot. Who's playing left guard? Right now, we don't know the answer to who's playing left guard. If I had to pick a leader in the clubhouse, it's probably Landon Young. Okay? It's probably Landon Young, who has played tackle for almost all of his career. I think he has played a little bit at guard, and he's become more versatile. And they brought him back for a reason, the same reason why they brought Will Clapp back. Will Clapp may end up being there too. I mean, he's played a lot the last few years. Kellen Moore knows Will Clapp very well. I mean, Brandon Staley obviously knows Will Clapp. I mean, he played for the Bills last year. I don't think it's going to be Sal DeVary. But go back to the original question. You have 2 guys at left guard. If you have 3 guys at left guard, does it really mean you have none? That's the question. You know what, Lance? I need to make that has got to be a Dattitude shirt, doesn't it? 0.0 has got to be. You could make a 0 out of the D or put a D inside of one of the zeros or something. I don't know. We got to make a 0.0 shirt. Oh, I see what you said. 6.6 million blue, the McNeese win. Yeah, well, a lot of people. McNeese was a very popular 12 seed pick. Okay. But I will say this. I don't think the people with money, they were all betting on Clemson. And I would look, I sat here and told you, I didn't think McNeese was going to do it. They were both 27-6 going into the game. If I got a team that's 27-6 in the ACC, and I got a McNeese team that's 27-6 playing in the Southland or whatever the hell conference they're in, I ain't picking McNeese. They had the same record. So, color me wrong on that one. Just saying. But the homers, man, they are all over McNeese. They are all pulling for him. Lance also says no quarterback. He wants Arch. The problem with wanting Arch is Arch is going to have to come out after next year if you want Arch, which I don't know if that's going to happen. Just the Manning's history tells me that Arch Manning is going to play at Texas a little bit longer, right? I mean, I think it's at best 50-50 that he comes out after this year. Now, if he has this gangbusters crazy season, it's not the same as when Peyton and Eli were both playing at Tennessee and Ole Miss respectively. It's different world. So he may come out. But that's only part 1. Part 2 is the Saints would have to be the most likely, because if he comes out, it means he had a really great season. So if Arch comes out, he's not almost certainly, but he's most likely going to be the number 1 pick of the draft. You know what the odds are the Saints going to have a number 1 pick of the draft next year? Not going to use 0.0. You'll wait for Arch. I get it. But it's very slim. This team is, say whatever you want, hate Derek Carr as much as you want, think this offensive line is horrendous, the defense isn't ready to be any good, but the chances of the Saints being the worst team in the NFL this coming year, super duper slim. I think the chances of the worst team in the NFC South is not good. The odds there aren't good. The Saints are going to have according to, if you go by winning percentage from last year, the Saints are going to have the second easiest schedule in the NFL. Now, we have our own schedule formula that I don't put together until July or August, so I'll let you know then. But where the Saints stand right now. Saints, I know, and we've said this before, the Saints are going to have an easy schedule, but if you look at it, it really is. They're going to have the second easiest schedule in the NFL. The only team that has an easier schedule than the Saints, according to winning percentage from last year, the San Francisco 49ers. And I know you're only partly joking, but Lance says, whatever we got to do, get Arch, do it. It doesn't work that way. You can't just trade. Remember last time the Saints traded all this future stock and whatever to get Ricky Williams? How did that work out? It didn't. How did it work out when the Cowboys traded everybody to get Herschel Walker? It didn't. You can't overreach. There are going to be plenty of quarterbacks in next year's draft. But next year is the year that you draft a quarterback, I think. I think it will happen. I think the Saints are going to I know the Saints don't draft quarterbacks, at least not early. I mean, yeah, they drafted Rattler. That was in the 5th round. They drafted Hayner, was that 4th round. They drafted Ian Book in the 5th round or whatever it was. Garrett Grayson a few years ago. Well, I'll say a few years ago. Probably more like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Was that a 3rd round pick? So they do draft quarterbacks. They just don't draft them early. I think that changes next year. I think next year is the year. And look, don't get me wrong about Derek Carr. Again, I'm going to say this again. I think that Derek Carr is the bridge to the future. He's not the future. I do think he's the starting quarterback. Well, he's the starting quarterback this year, almost certainly. And then in 26, we'll see. There's been so much out there. So even again today, I got an alert this morning. The ESPN is pushing this so hard. By the way, you got about 5 to 8 minutes to get a comment in before we go off the air this morning. There's your warning. If you want to get a comment, now's your time to do it. There's been ESPN is just, I don't know why they're pushing this so hard. They must be getting a lot of clicks on this. And I've seen it being pushed on social media. The Saints fans on X, it's all the Carr haters who they're trying to talk themselves into thinking that the Saints are going to trade Carr. They're still saying it. The Saints are going to trade Carr. They're not going to trade Carr. Get over yourself. But ESPN is pushing this thing. They are pushing it. Is it possible the Saints would draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds? Well, first of all, if you don't draft one in the first round, who the hell are you going to draft in the second round? We'll do mock drafts. We're going to spend, I might start doing, maybe we'll do some spotlights, looking at who the Saints might draft, potential Saints draft picks. Maybe that's how we'll spend some shows coming up. I don't know who we've got guest-wise coming up. We may or may not have a guest on Monday. Maybe just us talking. Earls says everybody wants Arch, but we don't even know he can play. I mean, that's really, in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of true. I mean, all this hype about Arch Manning, it's true. I mean, we really haven't seen him play all that much. I mean, I saw him play in high school, but that doesn't necessarily translate. I'll say this about, Quinn Ewers. We're talking about who could potentially be. I mean, Quinn Ewers is probably more like a 3rd-round pick. But I got to say, the way I saw him finish up the season last year, I wasn't all that impressed. If Quinn Ewers would have been better, I think they would have won the national championship. I think part of the reason why Texas didn't win the national championship is because Quinn Ewers wasn't very good. Somebody's going to take him. Somebody's going to give him a chance. Is he anything more than a backup quarterback? I don't know. Lance says, out of all 3 Manning kids, Cooper was the most athletic. I don't see now. Arch takes after him, but in a quarterback spot. Here's athletic can mean so many different things. Cooper was faster than the other 2, no question. Cooper could catch a football better than the other 2, no question, but Cooper couldn't throw a football. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. And I covered all 3 of those dudes in high school. Chad Gage wants to know, do I take Dart if he drops into the second? I still say stick to the interior. Look, if for some reason, and look, that's a possibility. All this hype of Jackson Dart going up into the first round, and the Saints aren't picking him at 9. They're not making him pick with the 9th pick of the draft. However, if, there's that word again, if he does drop to the second round and he's still there, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to say that it can't happen. Is this for real? A-Rod to the Steelers? Did it happen, or that's just you guessing? Let's see. Aaron Rodgers breaking. Who's saying this? Yep, Shefty's saying it. Well, no deal at this time is close. Shefty is saying that was 6 minutes ago. Yeah, so he's just at the facility. That doesn't mean he's there. So I'll believe it when I see it. Shefty is saying that no deal is at this time is close per source. What happens if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers? Can he get it back? PBM says they love the new shiny thing. They do. I mean, we do. I will say, though, if Jackson Dart is still there in the second round, it's a little different. I might feel a little bit different. UBN says Diva Central. If that happens, Mike Tomlin's going to have his hands full. There's no doubt about that. Why does he want to put himself in that situation? Because they don't have anybody else? How much longer is he going to be around over there? I don't know. Something else that I didn't mention. Again, we're about to get to our final segment. If you haven't been in, if you've been in and out today, got a brand new segment we're wrapping up the show with. I'm going to tell you what it is. It is AI meets betting. Last chance to get your comments on the Saints. But here's my phone, okay? I am going to ask my phone what the sports bet of the day is. And we're going to start keeping track. This is going to be a new segment, at least for the near future. And we're going to see if AI is right. Before, though, I wanted to talk real quick about Larry Holder usually comes on Fridays. He couldn't come on today because he's playing in a tennis tournament. I will say this. We definitely would have talked about this morning. If you didn't see it, the Paul Skeens MLB debut patch autograph card, it was a 1 out of 1. It sold at auction on Friday morning. Paul Skeens 1 of 1 rookie debut patch autographed card. It sold for $1.1 million. Wow. There was 64 bids. The winning bid, identity not known of the person who won it. $1.1 million. The boy who owned the card previously, 11-year-old boy from Los Angeles, he got the quote-unquote one-of-a-kind Skeens card. Topps Chrome update card. The boy will get $925,000 for the sale of the card. He turned down an offer from the Pirates. The Pirates going to give him 30 years worth of season tickets. Let me see. I can have 30 years worth of season tickets for Pirates games, even if I lived in Pittsburgh. Or I could have $925,000. Now, one of the key things was apparently Libby Dunn, Paul Skeens' girlfriend, also offered to allow the boy to come into her suite and watch a game with her in her suite as part of the deal. Yeah, I'm still saying no. No chance. Not a chance. CBN says he thinks it was a great investment. Well, congratulations. No chance. By the way, another interesting stat line. The card sold for $1.11 million. The boy made $925,000. You know what Paul Skeens is going to make this year? That would be $875,000. So the boy who owned the card is going to make more money, or his family is, than Paul Skeens. That makes a lot of sense. The stupid world we live in today. Charles Manga says, Ashton Genty over Dart. Look, I already told you before, if the Saints draft Ashton Genty, okay, so be it. They got to get an offensive lineman. You can't do anything if you don't protect your quarterback. Lance said, what do I think about an Olave trade, given we can underside wide receiver with concussion history? The problem is you're just not going to get what you would need to get to make it worth your while. I mean, so no. I don't think you can. I don't think you can trade Olave because what are you going to get for him? A third or fourth round pick? He's still a first rounder, in my opinion. He's a wide receiver 1 when he's had concussion issues. No, it's a fact. No doubt about it. He could have another one. He could not. We don't know. But he's still a wide receiver 1, in my opinion. You don't trade a wide receiver 1 for a third or fourth round pick when you have a hole there anyway. Apathy says there's no way that Ashton Genty makes it past Pete Carroll. Probably not. So it's probably, look, like last year. Remember last year when we were talking about Brock Bowers and if the Saints were going to have a decision to make and they were, there was no, last year I think it was no question they were drafting an offensive lineman first. Of course, every year you have the pundits and whatever say they're going to draft this, like you have this year. But I think it was more likely last year they're going to draft a lineman than even this year. But we were talking about Brock Bowers. I said, if Brock Bowers slipped to the Saints, it was something you had to consider. He never slipped that far because the Raiders right in front of the Saints picked him, and then it didn't become a thing. Same as Lattimore. It's really not the same. Lattimore has been in the league a lot longer, and Lattimore's turned into a BUM bum. Just saying. All right, it is time to wrap it up. Again, we can come back to and wrap it up with the Saints if you want. If you got a couple of comments, you can leave them. But we have a new segment here. We're going to try this. We're going to have fun with it. It's usually going to involve Gabe, okay? So here's how this thing is going to work. It's going to be, I am going to ask my phone, what is the, and I'm going to do it here live, and I'm going to read to you we're going to have fun with this, okay? I'm going to call up my AI app. And we're going to ask it. By the way, and then we're going to keep track of the record of AI's record of the bet of the day. And what we're also going to do is we're going to let Gabe, when Gabe is here, say he agrees with the pick, he's going to bet with it, or he's going to bet against it. We're also going to keep track of that record. And if it's really, really bad, then maybe we'll just stop doing it. But we're at least going to have fun with it. Here we go. What is your best sports bet of the day? And the answer is all right. Given that today is March 21st and we're in the thick of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, my best sports bet of the day focuses on one of the standout games from the first round. It's too late. Wait, no, we got to ask it again because this is going on right now. It's Baylor and Mississippi State. Let's ask it again. Already, this is AI is ruining this show as if I needed something or someone to help ruin this show. What is your best sports bet of the day, dumbass? It showed dumbass. I assume you meant betting instead of better. One last time. What is your best sports pick of the day? Maybe this isn't going to be a new segment. This is really... No, here we go. All right. All right, here we go. Okay. Usually when every other time I've done this, it's done something with a spread. This time it's not doing it. So let's see. Let's say it's NCAA basketball tournament season. My best sports pick of the day would be an underdog, like a 12 seed upsetting a 5 seed in the first round. Something like Grand Canyon University over Iowa State. That game hasn't started yet, has it? I got to look this up. Live TV. This is really not turning out anything like I thought it would. I thought it would be fun and funny because every other time I've done it, it's been fun. Let's see. Is this started already? No. What time does this start? That's softball. What is going on here? But live TV, we're on live TV. All right. Well, anyway, there you go. That's the pick of the day. Grand Canyon over Iowa State. I'm so disappointed. I need Gabe here. This was gonna be fun. That ended up being stupid. Before we go off the air, I'm going back to the Saints. I'm so disappointed at how AI ruined my show here. Kellen Moore wants a running game. He wants a running game, but you can do it other ways than going to get Genty. There are this is a very strong running back class. I think there's other running backs you can get. Scatabo later, one of them. There are plenty of them. We're going to talk about. Maybe we'll do a whole show on running backs. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Dumbass alert. There's a dumbass alert. You ready? We'll show them. Even the dumbasses. Dumbass alert. LOL, you feel good calling someone else a bum from that deflated chair you're sitting in. That chair's not deflated. It doesn't even have any air in it. You don't put air in it. And I do feel good calling someone a bum. I never shy away from calling someone a bum if I think they're a bum. Should I be super nice to everybody? We don't want to call anyone a bum. I bet you. What do you think about Derek Carr, Rich Marciano? Rich, is your middle name start with a B? Rich, bum, Marciano, Richard. What's another name for Richard? Not Rich, not Richie. What is it? Dick. That's it. Oh, boy. I need Alexa in here. You're right. I do. Maybe I'll do that next. Maybe I'll ask Alexa next time. Charles says, if Campbell's gone, trade up for Genty. The trade up there. Say it to their face. I'm saying it to your face right now. Saying it. What do you want me to say? You see my face. I can't see yours. Whatever. What's another name for Rich? Richard? Richie? What is it again? I forgot. What is it? Dick. Oh, that's it. Okay. Sorry, Dick. All right, that's how we're going to end the show today. We're going to wrap it up for this Friday. We're going to have a good weekend. We're going to do better with AI next time because Gabe's going to be here on Monday. We're going to have fun with it. I'm just assuming it's going to work better next time. I don't know why I'm assuming that it's going to work next time. Because I tried it like 8 or 10 times before we came on the show, and it worked. Of course, this time doesn't work. Got to do it a different way. All right. I want to thank today's guest, Rod Walker, and you. Again, Gabe will be back on Monday. Don't know if we will have a guest or not. I hope we do. Got to get UBN back on the show. I know who's out there. Spending too much time watching golf. He just had a birthday. 45 years old. Making me feel old. A reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go in the air live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. You can find a replay of the show, as always, on NOLA.com/sports. Nick is deflated. This is Tom Brady's footballs. Lance said the show ended hilariously. I mean, sorry, Dick. Have a wonderful, glorious weekend. You can find me on bet.nola.com. You can find all of our Saints peeps on NOLA.com/Saints. Don't spend your entire weekend in front of the TV. Get outside, enjoy maybe the last day until November today with a high temperature in the 60s and sun. Good luck with your fantasy baseball drafts. Yes, my fantasy baseball drafts are this weekend. You have fun with it. We will see you back here on Monday. Until then, everyone, take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.